Welcome to Coddiwompling Along The Tao with Noel Eastwood, and this is episode 7, and I'm talking about Taoist Alchemy. And to get started, I'll give you a little bit of my background, and those of you that have read my books and my newsletters, you'll know that I've done some weird stuff, and it all boils down to, number one, my personality, makeup from astrology. I have a huge dominance in the 8th house with 6 planets in the 8th house. 5 of them basically conjunct the Pluto. So very Plutonic, very much 8th house. And 8th house is transformation, and that's basically what Taoist alchemy is all about. It's being born like that. Couldn't help but go this way. In 1980, I was at Teachers College, my last year of Teachers College. And I saw this guy doing Tai Chi. I was walking through the car park and he was in the park there, and I thought, this is odd. So, as you do, I went and asked him what he was doing, and he explained Tai Chi. And, you know, there's my teachers in Campsie, and we have two evenings of Tai Chi, and we do also have Sunday mornings where we do healing, hands-on healing, and I was hooked. This was an answer to all the questions I've ever had in life, and this was something that I was just drawn to like a magnet. I could not believe what I was hearing, that this guy was telling me my life already. So I went along and I just took to it like a fish to water. So Taoism is a Chinese word basically meaning the path or the way, walking that path in harmony with our environment, with the people that we meet as best we can. You know, the journey of life is hard enough, and sometimes we've got to learn to bend and be flexible. So Taoists are seeking a journey through life by applying alchemy. Now, there's 2 kinds of alchemy. One is the Western form of the philosopher's stone, turning base metals, lead, into gold. The Grail, the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, you know, the sword in the stone, all these magical things. It seems that the Western world has gone to the external, that if I drink this elixir, the elixir of life or the elixir of enlightenment, I will know everything. I'll be a magician. I'll be whatever. Whereas in the East, in Asia, and in other parts of the world, it was internal. You know, by refining my body and my spirit, I reach enlightenment. And that's the path of the Taoists. The Taoists don't have a hierarchy. They don't have masters. They have teachers. They have mentors. And, you know, my journey was one where I had a very, very, very special teacher, Simon Lim, who taught freely and openly of what he knew and what he was. He was a very special person. If we go back, 300,000-400,000 years ago, when humans were Homo sapiens, we much the same as we are today. We had brains the same size, 5 fingers and on each hand, 2 arms and 2 legs. If we read the material, the writings of the ancient Egyptians, 2000 BC, so 4,000, 5,000 years ago, they had the same issues that we have today. They had the same arguments, the same philosophies, the same questions that we have. They had a great deal more superstition, but then we only have to go back 20, 30 years, and the Western world was rife with superstition. So things haven't really changed much, really, in terms of our intelligence in all those years. Humans spread out around the world. But they didn't, like, once they moved from this region to another region, they didn't cut off the links. They maintained that network wherever they went. So they had cousins, uncles, relatives, friends, wherever they went. They were networked for thousands of miles. And they traded. So if I had iron ore, I could make up metal and I could trade that for seashells or special healing barks or special coloured ochres for painting. So, and we've mapped trade routes throughout Australia, throughout New Guinea, over thousands and thousands of miles where these products were traded throughout the country. It's the same with knowledge. It's the same with belief systems. And from these journeys, we have the shaman. And I'm going to use this word shaman, which both male and female, men and women, shaman. The wise people, people in touch with the wider universe. And they networked as well, just like the traders did, just like the merchants did, just like I talk about the merchants in Venice, how they funneled the trade of around, Europe and the East and became very wealthy doing it. Well, humans trade. That's what we do. We trade knowledge and we trade goods. So the shaman was not just someone that woke up in a village somewhere and said, hey, I'm going to be your shaman. That shaman was someone's apprentice at one time. And he had to study and undergo, 10, 15, 20-year apprenticeship before he was allowed to go out on his own. And of course, he would participate in all the celebrations and ceremonies and the initiations of the other students, the other apprentices, and the mentors would be there. And this could be over huge regions. They were like the druids of Europe, that they were responsible for networking knowledge and information about movement and who married who and who was fighting who, and to try and keep the peace and keep things in harmony. They had a role to play in terms of that, as well as spiritual refinement. And the Taoists are no different. They drew upon the knowledge of the regions around them, so that it'd be Korea, Japan, Korea, Mongolia, the Russian states, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, India, Southeast Asia. These people, the shamans of these regions, would all be related in some way. They shared their knowledge in many ways. So they weren't just isolations. There was this movement of knowledge and skill and mentorship all the time. So they would attend certain ceremonies on a regular basis where they would meet up with their mentors or they would meet up with their other apprentices and share things. So Taoism is not something that just belongs to China. Taoism is, that like a melting pot of knowledge from everywhere. Buddhism, Hinduism, probably not much Christianity there because it came later, but we have the Lao Tzu's teaching, we have Chun Tzu's teaching, we have Sun Tzu's Art of War, Taoist. So that the Taoists themselves sought harmony within themselves as well as the universe, while they also provided a service to their community, a very important service. But the apprenticeship would be quite arduous, because what they're doing is they are refining their spirit. So there's the alchemical part of it. So I learnt Tai Chi, Qigong, Nigong, and some Kung Fu and healing in my, one could say, my 8-year apprenticeship with Simon. So what is Qi? Qi is life force, it's energy. So we train in the slow movements of Tai Chi, or with the breathing and the slow movements of Qigong. We're training to feel, to sense our life force. It takes time. That's why Fallen and Eve in my Fool's Journey series, they're trained by the High Priestess to quiet the mind, to stop the world. Because while you have this running dialogue internally happening, you're not observing what's happening within yourself. So that silence and solitude is so critical. And in that series, right through the series of my books, and in nearly all of my books, you'll find Taoist themes happening right through it. The exercises that Fallen and Eve undertake, that they are taught by the Hierophant and the Magician and the High Priestess, by the Empress as well. They're Taoist practices, and you'll see that flowing in, particularly in the cups with the water meditation, which is pure Taoism. And then in the wands is the fire meditation. Again, that's Taoism. I'll explain all this in the wands book when I finally get to finish it. So what does Qi feel like? Qi is a shiver. So we've all had a shiver. But imagine you put that in your navel. And let me find, here we go. This is one I'm after. Make that bigger. So we train to breathe through the navel into this ball of light. Now, the chakras are energy centers. That's what it translates as. We've got an energy center here. We've got one down here at the genitals. We've got one in the heart, in the throat, and in the brain. And the solar plexus too. These are plex. This is where the nerves bundle together. This particular one here is in the gut. And the nerves here, if we squashed them all together, would equal the size of a cat's brain, which is 1/3 the size of what you've got in your head. That's a lot of nerves. It tells us that this region of our body is really important. So what the nerves here are responsible for is signaling and transferring signals from the gut biome, from the bacteria in our gut, in our large intestines. 95% of your serotonin is made by these bugs in your gut. The B complex vitamins are made there. Hormones are made there. Butyric acid, which is a phenomenal healer, is made by your gut bacteria. The bacteria in our gut also sense when we're getting sick. Before we get sick, they are the ones that send out their soldiers to fight an invasion or to go out and heal an inflammation first. They're our first line of defense. And then they'll send a signal via the plexus to our brain to then engage our physical body, our human cells, and our own immune response. 1% of our body is actually human. 99% are our community that look after us, which is pretty cool. The bacteria, there's viruses there that do good work for us. There's nematodes and parasites. They have a job to do as well. They live in our physical body. There's fungus, yeasts. Our body is their home, so they will look after our body. If we feed them right, which of course, if you know me, it's plant-based food. That's what they live on. They convert that into nutrients to keep us alive and healthy. So this center is incredibly important, which is why the Taoists have discovered through solitude and silence, observation and contemplation and meditation, that if they can generate energy at the solar plexus, they can do just about anything. That's where, if you've read my stuff, my newsletters, my books, you can leave your body, you can astral travel, wake up in dreams, you can go flying, you sense people, you move energy, you do all sorts of weird things. And this is the main part. It's got the sexual energy there, but that's on the diagram. But that's down here, actually. The center is down here. And if you look at the nerves in the genitals, there's heaps there. Not as big as this one though. This one's huge. Like the brain's 3 times bigger than this, of course, but the ones down here, they're important too, because they are the earthing. You can generate energy there and then earth that and leave your body when you're sleeping just through the base chakra. Even though we have that word sexual there, Taoists have learned very early that sexual energy is just energy, and we can actually harness that to achieve states of enlightenment. And when I use the word enlightenment, I don't mean, bung, I'm enlightened. Actually, you have moments of insight. You have moments of enlightenment. The lights come on about something, and you're enlightened about something. Doesn't make you a god or a guru. The Taoists run a mile if you say, oh, you're my master or you're my guru. My teacher would never let us call him a master or anything. It was always a teacher. Taoists don't have hierarchy. They don't have masters. They don't have dogma. It's just we work on ourselves. That's what we do. We do our best. Doesn't make us any better or more important or anything like that. It's just that we have a particular interest in improving ourselves in the ways that we're taught. So I wanted to show you that one. I'm going to show you this one as well. So here's the good old yin-yang symbol of Tai Chi and of Taoism, of course. It basically says we flow. We are adaptable. We don't get stuck as one thing. We're flexible. And that's what Taoism is. That path to be in harmony in that path. So what does Qi feel like? Qi is the shiver. We put that shiver in our navel and then we expand it, we generate it. And that will take time. It takes a lot of practice until we can then move that in deeper into the abdomen, and then your abdomen will, you'll physically feel it. Visualizations, fine, but it's the feeling sense that makes a difference. You've got to be able to feel the Qi. So that's why it takes so much work. What will I say next? Let me just... Some of the things that I've written on my notepad here to remind me is that the Taoists operated for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, as shaman, but they're like a witch's coven, or coven, however it's pronounced. And that's probably the best description, because I was going through all the words, all the metaphors that I could think of to try and explain the Taoists and how they fit it in. But a witch's coven is where they get together to do their thing, and then they go back out into the community. And, this one does the house cleaning for the rich person on the hill. This one goes and works in a factory making clothing. And my teacher worked in a health food shop. His teacher was he did watch repairs. He did healing, had a healing centre at night, and worked on watches during the day. Simon, he had his health food shop during the day, and he had healing on the weekends and of an evening. The Tai Chi form that I learned is a water form, so it flows. And that is a healing form. That the family, the Chen family that this came from, were healers. So the witch's coven was what I wrote down there, and I'm just going to have a quick look at my notes to see if there's anything else, because we probably just about run out of time. Just one more thing about what it feels like. So that shiver, once we've got that shiver and we can generate that shiver, then we can move it through our body. And it's when we move it that things can start to happen. And we generate at the navel chakra. That is the most important one. You can generate it at the soles of your feet. You can generate it through your hands, above the top of your head, below the soles of your feet, and strange things can happen. I'll give you an example before we finish. The other night I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning. And I've told my psyche, don't wake me until you're allowed to interfere with my sleep from 4 a.m. onwards, because I need my sleep. When I first started doing Tai Chi, I would be out most of the night doing weird stuff, leaving my body. The cost of that, and there's always a cost, is that you get tired. So I had to lay down the law that I needed my sleep first, and then from 4 o'clock, you're allowed to take me and do weird things. So I'm quite happy to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do my chi breathing. Okay, because that's all I need to do. Just breathe my chi through the navel and build it up in a ball. So the other morning, I woke up about 5. I'm half asleep, so I lie down in bed, nice and warm. I do my breathing and it generates bigger and bigger and bigger. A ball gets bigger and bigger. And I start sliding down towards sleep, which is where I want to go. Because once I've got that ball of light, and once my chi is generated, I can fall into that deep state, and that's when things happen. But what happened is I generated that ball of light and then pushed it down to the soles of my feet. I didn't try to do that, it just happened. And then it got really big, about the size of a beach ball. And then I pushed it out forcefully. Not really done that before, but a part of me went with it. Now that part of me is like a clone. And the strange thing, the reason I'm telling you is that this has not happened before. My clone went with the ball of light, and I dropped even further into trance. And about 5 seconds later, the ball of light and my clone, I'll tell you about the clone at another time, came back, but they came back with about 10 soldiers. That's not happened before. 10 soldiers that died during the Second World War, which is like 80 years ago. Nearly 80 years ago they died. And they came back and they just bewildered, confused and bewildered. It was as though they'd just died. They were just standing around in shock. And this had not happened before, so what do? I just said to myself, trust. Just trust your body wisdom to know what to do. And then I just glowed brighter and brighter and brighter, and they just disappeared. And I fell asleep, and when I woke up, they were gone. So doing the Taoist alchemy is one pathway. There's many, many paths up the mountain. But for me, I've been doing this for like 40 years, so don't think it's easy. I put a lot of effort into it. I was sick for like 15 years where not much happened at all. I struggled. I get sick. That's normal, but I work at looking after myself as best I can. Anyway, I think that's enough. Me blabbing on about astral travel and Taoism. But you'll see these themes that I talk about, a lot of these experiences that I have too come through in the books. I've told you about the Fool. There's one with the devil. That was a real experience. There's another couple I'll tell you about when I get to them. But yeah, just keep your eye on my stories and you'll see Taoism through them. Well, thanks for listening. I hope I didn't bore you too much, and I'll catch you at the next one. Thank you.